It's time for the Kim Hammer Show, where you'll learn how your state government affects you, your family, and community. Here's Kim Hammer.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Kim Hammer Show. Glad that you're tuning in with us on another beautiful Saturday afternoon. We'll dispense with all the formalities because I have two candidates on today that are running on the Republican primary ticket for District 31, which was formerly held by Andy Davis, who did a great job while in that position. But want to start off by recognizing some of the businesses that help make this show possible. First of all, Everett GMC Buick down in Saline County there on I-30 Alcoa Road. And read the other day where they're back number one again. They're getting pretty used to being at that number one slot. You don't get to be number one unless you prove that you earned to be number one. And so I'd encourage you to go down there, talk to Dwight and Susie and their staff, and they'll take good care of you both when they sell you the vehicle, but also afterwards with the follow-up and the service. So appreciate Everett GMC Buick. Then also appreciate Baxley Phillips Mowdy Realtors. Got to give them a shout out because they just sold our house and we're going to be moving Monday. So it's going to be a crazy weekend for us, but we're glad that we have sold our house. And yes, I'm in my district and we're moving back to my wife's old house, RJ, and we've remodeled it. And so we're going to be moving back to the house that she grew up in. So it'll be kind of a cool experience.
You're a busy guy.
Yeah, well, the good thing is it's one level, walk in and you don't have to deal with any stairs. The other sponsor I want to give a shout out to is Edwards Food Stores. I always tell you every week, they're a great place to go shop for your groceries, convenient. They've got a lot of locations here in central Arkansas. They're always clean and they are competitive. Their people are always friendly. They'll even carry your groceries out for you, or if you want to shop online and have them ready to pick up, they're able to do that as well. All right, well, let's get right into the business at hand. Today we have our first guest in studio is R.J. Hawk, who is running, as I mentioned, for District 31, and he is running on the Republican primary. R.J., I emailed you and your opponent a list of questions, and what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you the question, give you a chance to respond. I want to try to make sure we get through all 16 questions, and then we'll have a wrap up at the end. So. Appreciate you being on air today.
Well, thank you for having me. I mean, this is a great honor. I listen to your show quite a bit, and I'm glad to be here.
Well, honored to have you on, and thanks for listening.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Please just share a little bit about yourself with regards to your personal life and your family, anything that you'd want the general public out there to know that you just want to share.
Well, I came to Arkansas back in 2004. Played baseball at the University of Central Arkansas, and I came here from Texas. I was a guy that had never been to Arkansas before, and got an offer to play baseball and stuck it out. I was the first person in my family to ever get a college education. Now, my mom a week later got hers, but I lay the claim that I was the first person in my family to get that college education. And when I was in high school, I said, I don't really want to go to college. I really wasn't the college type. Me and my best friend, we were going to go to the police academy in Dallas and go that route. Baseball happened, life happened, and so I came to Arkansas, and I've been here ever since. And in that time, since 2004. I've met my wife. I've started two businesses, Hawk Media Solutions and Hawk Monogramming. Hawk Media Solutions has been in business for 11 years now. The monogramming side's been in business for 3. I do a morning radio show across town and been doing that for 13 years. And I've been involved in our community, whether it be in District 31 or just across the state. One thing that it's allowed for me to do is get involved with charities. I've been big with the American Cancer Society, the Boys and Girls Club of both Bryant and Central Arkansas, and Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. I've raised almost $400,000 for charities over the last 4 years. And I would say that with my morning show gig that I've got, that would be part of the reason why that was. But really, I just enjoy helping people. That at the end of the day, serving people is one of our greatest gifts that we can give back. Whether you have $1 million in the bank or you have no money in the bank, if you can help somebody, whether it be by raising money or just putting out a helping hand, I think that's one of our biggest gifts that God gave us, and that's why I do it.
Very good. So share about you mentioned a couple businesses that you have. Share about your personal and business or other experiences you've got in life that you believe would qualify you to hold the office of state representative?
Well, whenever I was in college, I got a mass communications degree and a marketing degree, and what that's allowed for me to do is to open up my two businesses and learn not only the financial side of business, but working with people. It's allowed for me to get involved with a back and forth conversation with people for like more of a customer service basis. And I really think that's big when you get to the state level, is being able to work with people, hear people's opinions, and say, hey, let's find the most common sense solution to the problem at hand, and do what's best for the people. At the end of the day, this District 31 seat is the people's seat. It's not my seat. It's not anybody else's seat. It's the people's seat. And so we've got to be able to work together to figure out what's best for the people. And, I've, over the last, I guess, 2 years ago, I was elected to the Bryant City Council. And that has allowed for me to, get involved more in our community. It's allowed for me to work in local government and see how that works. And I've helped uncover almost $500,000 in unused bond money in Bryant. That went to restore one of the oldest ballparks in Bryant. That was money that we didn't have to go ask for more tax dollars. That was not money that we had to go and pass a millage or whatever you do to raise money in a local community. This was money that we had on hand that was going to expire. And so I helped uncover that with our mayor and with the parks director. And then on top of that, it's just the everyday government workings, getting in there, getting involved, and not being afraid to be told no. And knowing how to react to when that happens, to circle back and bring that back for the people of Arkansas.
All right, let's define one thing. I should have done this on the front end. District 31 geographically, give the basic boundaries.
Oh boy, well, it's basically when you look at I-30 in Bryant, start right there. You go all the way across up to Salem, comes down south of Perrin, all the way across the Ferndale area, down into Chenal. Then works back over to Highway 10, where the Walmart is, going towards Pinnacle Mountain, and then all the way up to Y Mountain.
So you got a split of Saline County and West Pulaski County.
Yes.
That even picks up a little bit of Little Rock, I think, but just very little.
Yes.
So there is a Democrat that's running for this seat as well, and the independent. But you are in the Republican primary, along with the guests that will be coming on next, Keith. Why are you running on the Republican ticket?
Well, my entire life, my entire family's been staunch Republicans. I remember my grandfather running for, which back, I guess you can still do it as a JP in Texas. He ran as a Republican, and that's kind of the only route that I knew. And you think of conservatism, and I am that. I believe in traditional ways. I believe in our Second Amendment. I believe that we've got to find ways to put more money in our neighbors' pockets or our pockets, whether you're in Arkansas, by lowering taxes. And most importantly, I'm a big believer in pro-life. I think that we've got to give a baby a fighting chance. Outside of somebody that has been raped or there's incest involved, if a baby is essentially put into the womb, we've got to give it a fighting chance. And then if the mother or the parents don't want that baby, then there's adoption processes.
Okay, so you referenced it a while ago. Next question is, how long have you been a Republican then?
I mean, my entire life, pretty much.
Before it was cool.
Before it was cool. I was, I was a George W. Bush guy. I go back as far as I can remember, and that was really the only way that I knew growing up. And my mama, she didn't allow for me to know any other way, I guess.
All right, very good. And how would you, when the term conservatism is used today? It has been a little bit twisted, and it has been self-identified in many different ways. So give us your definition of what conservatism is.
Well, I think that it is, to me, limiting government. I think that if you're a true conservative, you don't want the government in your pocket. You allow the free will of the people. And I think that if you're a true conservative, that you aren't really, you don't want to be told how to do things in life, and so that would be my definition of a conservative.
Okay. So your position on taxes, you
Yes.
referenced it a while ago with your actions there on the city council at Bryant. What is your position or view or take on taxes?
I think that our taxes in this state are rather high, and they're, without getting into the budgets, and because I have not been in those meetings. Luckily, I'll have an opportunity next week to speak with some people that are on the budget committee that are currently in office to find ways to cut some of our taxes. But I really think that we are taxed in so many ways, whether it be the income tax, whether it be the business tax, whether it be we could go on, and I reference back to a story that, walking houses on this campaign. I was out in Ferndale last week, and a man came up to me and he said, "RJ," he said, "I don't know which way I'm going to vote." He said, "But I just want to let you know that," he goes, I'm a father of 3. My wife just got laid off," and he said, "The only paycheck that we've got coming in right now is mine." He said, "Now, I make a pretty decent living." He said, "But right now, without my wife working," he said, "it's the only income that we have." And he said, "I look at my paycheck every single time," and he said, "I see taxes going out to school districts that I don't live in, or I've got taxes that are coming out that take up $200 to $300 out of my check." He said, "And that could really help our family." And he, especially in a time like this, he goes, "My wife's not going to go and get unemployment. She wants to just go find a job as quickly as possible." And he said, "We've got to find a way that other people are not just so heavily strapped with taxes that they're seeing this same thing." He said, "Because I'm in a situation right now where this is temporary for us." He said, "My wife will eventually get a job again, and then we won't be living paycheck to paycheck. But there are people in this state that live paycheck to paycheck, that when they get their pay stub, they say, 'Oh my goodness, I just had $150 to $200 taken off my bill because of taxes.'" And look, I understand taxes are an important thing to drive this state forward. We've got to have them for certain things, but there's also things in there that we don't have to be taxed for that could help everyday Arkansans.
Okay. And your position on social issues as it relates to the establishment of laws, and qualify this a little bit there. There's some criticisms, there's some support. We function as a society, and the laws are the bumpers, if you would, or the guardrails that are intended to help us maintain as a society being law abiding. And you referenced your position on pro-life a while ago. So what is your position, or what is your take on social issues as it relates to the establishment of the laws?
So the way that I'm taking this question is like if a law were passed to outlaw abortions. Is that correct? Is that kind of how the question is?
Laws as it relates to like abortions, or laws as it relates to, we went through a big issue with medical marijuana.
Yeah.
It's on the ballot this time for recreational marijuana. You take a look at the posters, "In God We Trust." You look at the accountability for the severity of the crime. One of the things that's on the table for discussion right now is hate crime laws, for example.
Yeah.
So I'm just with your personal upbringing that you've referenced in this conversation, and your personal convictions, how do you see that playing out in how you would vote or be involved with the laws that would be made that are going to directly impact society, not taxes or any of those other things, but just society?
Society. Well, I think the biggest thing is, before a vote is even cast, you've got to get out and talk to the people of your district. I think that depending on what that issue would be, whether it be the marijuana, whether it be, I think we all would agree that hate crimes have no, there should be no lenience on hate crimes. But I think when it comes to especially marijuana, that's kind of been one of the biggest ones that have been, with this state. And I've talked to Republicans in the district that they're kind of split on it when it comes to recreational marijuana because of the fact that it is a lot of people were for the state the medical marijuana. If a doctor prescribed it for you, then it was good. And so I think that to answer that correctly, I think that depending on what that issue would be, I would want to see what the people of the district would want to say before I put my own views on it. Because once again, as I started this conversation, I said, this is the seat of the people. I'm a placeholder for the people to essentially be their voice. And so I would like to know what their opinion was on that issue before I cast that vote.
Okay. One of the greatest amounts of the state budget is allocated to public schools. What are your thoughts on schools in general, and state any position you may have with regard to the future directions of schools? And that can be private, public, charter, conversion charter, Christian, just as a whole, give people a perception of your position on schools.
I'm a product of public schools. That's where I'm from, but I am also for school choice. If a parent wanted to take their child to a public school, private school, charter school, wherever, I think that those tax dollars should follow that person. Now, granted, that's not the way it is right now, and so we've got to work with what we've got, and I think that we've got to create an environment in our schools that's competitive. The governor's doing a good job right now pushing coding and technology, and with the way that the world's working right now, we've got to further, fund that discussion and fund those programs. But really, it also comes down to the basics, of reading, writing, math, things of that nature, to make sure that those things are fully funded. And I know with the Little Rock School District right now, that has been a black eye on a lot of people, because some people don't think that it needs to be under state control. Some people think that it does. And I'm one of the ones that think that it does, just because of the fact that, if things aren't going, look at Earl, for example, the Earl School District over on the eastern side of the state. They were not doing good. I mean, test scores routinely were not good. The state goes in and takes them. People love that they've got some support now. They've got some people in there that are making the tough decisions for their kids, and you're starting to see that kids are being educated. Test scores are starting to come up a little bit, and so we've got to do the same thing in Little Rock. We've got to get teachers involved that really want to get put as much into our kids as possible. I saw a story in the Democrat Gazette a few months ago that teacher absentees totaled over $1 million in the Little Rock School District, and to me, that's our teachers aren't doing their job if they're not in the classroom teaching kids. They're not in there doing what we as parents are wanting them to do. And so you're relying on a placeholder, somebody essentially as a babysitter, to get in there and teach our kids, and they're not learning anything.
All right. The second greatest amount of the budget is spent on Medicaid budget. The second greatest amount, or a great amount of the budget, is spent on Medicaid services. A lot of that comes in from the federal government, but we have to do the match rate to it, which the FMAP, which reflects where we are as a state financially. We are in the process of making adjustments, and we're actually going to end up having to pick up more of the Medicaid budget because we're improving as a state. What are your views regarding Medicaid services as a whole, or the expansion of Medicaid? And let me just say, there's some new news that have come out this week that something we've been advocating for a long time now. The federal government under President Trump is looking at giving us a block grant as a state and let us manage our own Medicaid services. So anything you want to share with the prospective voters about your view of Medicaid services?
I think that much like, and it's good to know that things are getting better, but still, when you look at rankings across the state, healthcare in the state of Arkansas, the quality and the access in Arkansas is always ranking near or towards the bottom. And, I'm sensitive to costs that come with running the program, but I'm also supportive of the reforms the legislature has enacted to reduce those costs. And I do think that there needs to be the work requirement inside of the Medicaid expansion, Arkansas Works, whichever one you want to call it. I think that is a big part that needs to happen. And so, I think I will support. I know I will support measures that ensure that we'll be responsible with taxpayer dollars and encourage personal responsibility with that money.
All right, we're down to about 4 minutes, so I'm going to skip on down to number 11.
Yeah.
With regards to the growth of government, how do you see the balance between meeting the needs of the public and controlling the growth of the government?
I think when that is an interesting question because balance is always something. People always say that we've got to get in there and be the voice, and it's got to be exactly what the people want. And I agree with that, but there has to be a balance because I am for limited government. I started to say that at the beginning, and I stay tuned to that. But at the same time, we've got to find a balance. There can be a balance with what the people need and the growth in government. When you say growth in government, I don't know if I like that so much just because the more you say the growth in government, that means we're putting more regulations on people. And so I'm not really for limiting more people in government. So I would say that we've got to find a balance, and it's a balance that the people like per se, because it's not just whether you're a Democrat or Republican. We're all Arkansans. We all have needs. We all have wants, and so we've got to find a balance in the fact that whatever we decide at the government level works for everybody.
All right, we're down to about 3 minutes. So when looking at the direction some other states are going, like Virginia, which
Yes.
personal opinion, my thoughts alone, Virginia's just gone off the deep end, stupid, crazy.
Those are mine as well.
What are your views regarding the Second Amendment?
I am a staunch Second Amendment supporter. I have my concealed carry as well as the enhanced carry, and that is one thing, along with pro-life. There are two things, I guess, that I will not give on. I think that our Second Amendment rights are under attack, and much like Virginia, you see that where there are people coming in that are really trying to take away our Second Amendment rights. And so I support our Second Amendment, and honestly, I think that's a right that we cannot give up, and we cannot hedge on to say, well, we'll give you a little bit just so we can keep it the way it is. No, we cannot give on that at all.
What about your views as to how to address the infrastructure needs of the state?
Well, issue 1 is going to be on the ballot coming up, and I am a supporter of issue 1 because when you think about it, I've always said that you almost think that Arkansas has stock in orange barrels because anytime you come into Arkansas in any corner of the state, that's the first thing you see are orange barrels, but no work's being done. And so I think issue 1, what that's going to allow is that it's not going to raise a tax. It's going to continue the tax that's currently in place to help fund our roads, our interstates. I know that you're in Saline County. You see all the work that's being done on the interstate in Saline County. It's a mess right now. If you look at 630 in Little Rock, it's a mess. And so we've got to make this better because our businesses rely on that. Our tourism dollars rely on that. And we've got to make our infrastructure better. Also, part of that issue 1 is that if it does not pass, municipalities, whether your cities, your counties, they're going to be searching for those dollars that they've been used to seeing in their budget. They're going to be looking for those dollars that aren't going to be there, and they're going to have to find a way to make those dollars work.
All right, so I'm going to give you 30 seconds to wrap it up because I need to recognize our sponsors. With regards to what are going to be the top issues that you would want to work on if elected to office, what would they be in 30 seconds or less?
We've definitely got to help our kids for tomorrow. When they graduate from the high school level, whether they want to go to college or not, we've got to be able to get them into some type of job training program to make them successful into the future. I was a supporter of the CTE program in Saline County. We've got to have more stuff like that. Kids don't want to go to 4-year schools nowadays. They want to be able to go in and start making money immediately. That's one big thing that I'm working on. Tim Griffin and Leslie Rutledge, they support my campaign, and they are fully on board as well.
Very good. You've been listening to the Kim Hammer Show. For the first segment, we've had R.J. Hawk, who is a candidate for District 31. When we come back after the bottom of the hour, we'll have Keith Brooks on, who is also running. I want to thank our sponsors, Everett GMC Buick, Saline County, Baxley Phillips, Mowdy Realtors down Saline County, at Edwards Food Store in Central Arkansas. Come back after the bottom of the hour break. Kim Hammer Show.
Hey, it's Dave Ellswick. You know, cost is the biggest reason most of you don't check into private and Christian schools for your kids. And we want to change that. We've got partnerships with schools all over the area that's offering half price, that's right, half price, 50% off their tuition. See the complete list of schools at dealsforlittlerock.com. For more information, call Lynn at 501-404-6545.
101.1 FM, The Answer, loves giving away prizes. But hey, like everything else in life, there are some rules. So first, we want everyone to have a chance. So you can only win once every 30 days. Second, we're going to broadcast your name and or voice on the air and probably put it on the internet. Third, if something changes with your prize, we'll substitute it at an equal value. See, that's not bad. All the specifics are at 1011fmtheanswer.com. Hey, thanks for listening and get ready to win on 101.1 FM, The Answer. Take The Answer with you anywhere with our free mobile app, 1011fmtheanswer.com, your smart speakers, iHeart, or radio.com. Breaking news and stimulating talk. 101.1 FM, The Answer.
Saving for retirement is a great start, but remember, it's what you do with that money that really matters. How do you get the most out of your Social Security benefits? When should you withdraw money from your IRA or 401k? And how could you pay fewer taxes in retirement? Learn how you could make the most out of every dollar you've saved for retirement. Don't miss the David Lucas Show this Saturday at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on 101.1 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher sees a scam coming out of Washington.
The somber, solemn occasion of impeachment resulted in Pelosi fist-bumping with Bill Maher over their enthusiasm and excitement about impeaching the President of the United States. This thing is such a fraud. This is such a joke. This is such a scam.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekday mornings at 8, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on 101.1 FM. The Answer.
This is Morgan with the RE/MAX Elite team of Central Arkansas. Change can be stressful. Why not let the local RE/MAX Elite team step in and take some of that stress off of your hands? Making a move, upgrading, or downsizing? We'd love to do a free market analysis on your home and discuss our creative marketing methods. We will get your home sold. Just looking to buy? We can help you there too. There's a lot of options when choosing a realtor. To find the realtor that's right for you, visit selling-arkansas.com.
Who listens to the Rush Limbaugh radio program?
Mike, I'm glad you called. You're up first today. Nice to have you on the program.
Bright, involved Americans hungry for information.
It doesn't matter what side you're from. What matters is what you say, the truthfulness behind it, and the consistency. And Rush, you're consistent, you're truthful, and you're getting out there and telling people what's going on.
Your dial is already set for Rush Limbaugh.
You have to find the truth, and thank God I found this radio station.
Weekdays at 11 on 101.1 FM. The Answer.
The three most important words in retirement are income, income, and income. Your ability to generate income will totally dictate your lifestyle in retirement. Hey, it's David Lucas. With interest rates at record lows and a stock market riding at all-time highs, generating income in retirement today is more challenging than ever before. Discover strategies of how other people just like you are successfully generating income in retirement today on The David Lucas Show this Saturday at 10 a.m.
On 101.1 FM, The Answer.
Every day, in every way, we make the argument that the individual needs to be empowered. We got to get the government off the backs of job creators. Let's start celebrating people that take risks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Kim Hammer Show on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. If you were listening in the first half of the hour, had R.J. Hawk on, who is running for the District 31 seat previously held by Andy Davis. And the second half, I have Keith Brooks, who's in the studio as well, running for the same position, both running on the Republican ticket. Before we get into the list of questions, Keith, just want to give a shout. Excuse me. Still trying to get over that pneumonia stuff. Want to give a shout out to the Everett GMC. They helped make this show possible down in Saline County, as well as Baxley Phillips Mounty Realtors down in Saline County. They just helped sell our house. We're going to be moving Monday, so appreciate their help with that. And then also Edwards Food Store here in Central Arkansas. So shout out to all three of those individual businesses for helping make this possible today. I have at this half of the hour, Keith Brooks, who is running for District 31. And just geographically to kind of give you an idea, I tell you what, instead of me mumbling through it, Keith, go ahead and tell the folks what District 31 encompasses geographically.
Sure, and thank you, Senator Hanna, for having me on. Second time I've been on, so it's an honor to be with you again. You do an outstanding job of promoting conservative values here in Central Arkansas. So District 31, Andy Davis is the current rep. He's done an outstanding job the last 8 years. It encompasses a pretty decent portion of both Saline and Pulaski County. On the northwest side of it, you've got a Y Mountain Bigelow area. Head down Highway 10 through Lake Maumelle and grab about half of Chenal on one side of the parkway and a little bit on the other. Then it heads out into the rural part of Pulaski County, Lawson Road, Colonel Glenn, that area, grabs over to Alexander, they're off of I-30, and then a little bit of Bryant on the north side of Highway 5. Then heads back out up Spring Hill Road and out west towards an area of Saline County called Kentucky, grabs a villa on the way out there, and then goes back north through Ferndale. So pretty diverse from a geographic perspective. It's a large area, but you know what? There's a lot of amazing people in District 31.
It is pretty spread out, which the district that I served previously, we were a little more condensed. So my heart goes out to you and RJ and other candidates in other similar districts running for office, because that's a lot of territory to cover.
It's a lot of territory, but you know what? The people are great, and it's a blessing every day to get to know them.
Great. All right. Well, let's get into the questions to give ourselves as much time as possible. First one, feel free share a little bit about yourself with regards to your personal life and your family. Anything that anybody would want to know about you as Keith Brooks as a person.
Sure. Born and raised here in the state of Arkansas. I'm very blessed. My roots are here in Central Arkansas. My grandfather actually was one of the first Little Rock motorcycle policemen back in the 40s and 50s. My dad was a graduate of Central High School around the time of the Little Rock 9 crisis. Those were his friends and his neighbors. And so, but I had the chance to grow up in the little town of Searcy, and born and raised there. Graduated from Harding University with a business degree and also a master's degree in business from Harding. And my wife and I are very, very blessed to make our home here in Central Arkansas. We've got 3 kids, Hannah, Ethan, and Luke. They're awesome. They're the blessing of our life. Hannah loves music and art. Ethan wants to talk about World War II history and geopolitical chaos. And Luke has told us since he's about 5 that he's going to be the coach of the Razorbacks and bring a national championship home in football one day, which I hope he's right. So there, we're very blessed and just have the chance to do a lot of things and know folks in District 31 have lived here for some time, and in Central Arkansas it's home, always has been, and I'm thankful to have the chance to run for this seat and get to know a lot of great people.
So share about your personal or business experience that makes you believe that you're qualified to hold the office of District 31 House of Representative.
So I'm an entrepreneur by both preference and by life. So when I was 8 years old, I got a paper route. And I got that paper route because my parents lived paycheck to paycheck, and we needed help within our family. I kept that paper route from the time I was 8 all the way through when I was 23 years old and graduated college. It taught me the importance of hard work and taking care of people on a day-to-day basis. Because if somebody, back in those days, things have changed a little bit, obviously, but back in those days, if somebody didn't have their newspaper by 6:30 in the morning, to get up and read it. They weren't happy, and you know what they were doing? They were calling my house. And it didn't matter if I was a third grader and didn't have it to them. They needed to be served and taken care of well. You know, all the way through my college experience, I was real fortunate in my teen and in college years to be in a Christian band. I had a chance to start a business through that as well. We had a chance to travel all over the United States and meet young people and teach them about values that were greater than themselves. And that taught me a lot about the importance of understanding the person, looking them in the eye, and caring about what's bigger than me and bigger than them. And then now I spent about 10 years in the medical field, in the medical device industry, working with orthopedics and pain management physicians. And then I have owned a State Farm agency now for a little bit more than 7 years. And as a small business owner, again, it's something I've done since I was a little kid. I understand how important it is to cut budgets, how that my employees come before I do, that sometimes when revenues aren't what you expect, you got to make cuts. You can't spend in excess. And I think that experience is needed in every way in both state and federal government because we can't let things balloon because it's our tax dollars at work.
All right. So why are you running on the Republican ticket? There's also a candidate that will be running on the Democrat ticket and on the independent ticket as well. So why are you running on the Republican ticket?
So if it's okay with you, I'm going to lump those next two questions together because I think that they go together. So
right. Which the next question is, how long have you been a Republican? So
Sure.
just combine them in there.
So my dad was a school teacher here in the state of Arkansas, and I got his perspective from day one of how challenging it was with the current political administration in the state of Arkansas, being Governor and now President Clinton, or later on President Clinton. And there was really never much of an affinity from his perspective. And so I paid attention a lot. But when I was 12, my grandfather, who was a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, took me to see Ronald Reagan speak here at the Little Rock Airport. That was in 1988, October of 1988. He was campaigning for George H.W. Bush for president. And Reagan talked at that time about the importance of conservative philosophy. And that was that governments and huge institutions can't do things that the regular people can. And we have to do everything we can to empower people to make a difference because they're the ones whose lives are at stake, both from a fiscal standpoint and from an overall quality of life standpoint. And so we've got to do everything we can to get out of the way and let the engine of our economy being just the regular people succeed. And so from that time on, the Republican ideals, conservative ideals were things that I based my life on and always have. Had the chance actually in 2016 to join other Arkansans at the Republican National Convention in Cleveland and see up close a very unique experience within our representative republic of what we do within our political parties. And so it's been something that I've been a part of virtually, I guess you'd say, my whole life.
Very good. And you're kind of hitting on it already, but how would you define the term conservatism? Because that term has been kind of hijacked and it's been self-identified in many different ways, I would say. So give the people a clear understanding of what you mean when the word, or what you define conservatism as.
So that's a great question. So the founders of our country established a very unique system of government. Prior to the founding of the United States of America in the 1700s, basically every government was formed by might and by power. And what you found was that the people had no power. It was the king declared what was the rule of law. What our founders did was something unique and different. They said that our rights come from God. Our rights are inherent by what God has given us, and that it's not government's job to establish those rights because those rights have been established by God. It's government's job to secure those rights and to get out of the way. And so conservatism is about government having the opportunity to continue to secure those rights because they're the people's rights that are given by God. What's great is not government. What's great is the small business owners of Saline and Pulaski County in Arkansas, the people who are making it happen every single day. What's great is the volunteer fire departments of our area, the West Pulaski, Salem, Lake Norrell. I stood with those folks a couple weeks ago as my neighbor's house burned to the ground. Stood there and watched them for 6 hours on a rainy day back the first part of January. And you know what I saw people who left their jobs, left their well-being because somebody needed help. And that's what's great about the United States, about Arkansas, and that's what conservatism is to me. It's about the rights of the people far above anything the government could and should do.
So what's your position on taxes?
Taxes. As a state, we both state and federally, I think we continue to be taxed too much. When you look at the tax burden that we have, I think a conservative fiscal philosophy says, let's cut waste and let's return as much money back to the end user, which is going to be the person that has earned the money. Let's return as much money into their pockets as is humanly possible. When you look at where we are from a tax burden standpoint, we sit in between two states that don't have income taxes, Texas and Tennessee, and we still find ourselves with a relatively significant income tax rate and sales tax rates to match. When you look at a place like Franklin, Tennessee. I lived in the Nashville area for a few years when I was in the Christian music industry. Franklin, Tennessee, you've got a sales tax rate of about 9.5%, but they don't have an income tax. And Franklin, Tennessee sits in the top 10 wealthiest counties in the United States of America. When you look at somewhere like Bryant, Arkansas, guess what? Sales tax rates are comparable, if not higher, than that. And so that means that we are not returning people's hard-earned money to them. And so I think anything we can continue to do to lower the tax burden is correct from a conservative perspective.
So in the past, we've dealt with laws that relate to the social issues of the state. By that, I mean, and referring to, we went through the debate on medical marijuana. We've gone through the debate on pro-life and passing a law that if the Supreme Court reverses the Roe versus Wade, that abortion would be declared unconstitutional. We've had bills dealing with posters "In God We Trust" that can now be placed in public institutions, including school. We deal with laws with regards to capital punishment and the severity of crime, or the severity of punishment based on the equivalent of the crime. The debate now is about hate laws. So what is your view as far as a legislator, how you would apply your personal philosophy to laws that deal with social issues?
And I appreciate the opportunity to answer that question. I think when you look at the foundation of our society, the foundation of the United States of America really was based in Judeo-Christian principles. There's no denying that when you look at our founding documents. Some things are more important than anything else when you look at the sanctity of life. The value of a free society, the foundation of a free society actually is really valuing of life. If we can't get through that we should value life more than anything else, then it doesn't matter what you or I think on taxes. It doesn't matter how we feel about education. If we can't say that to protect life at all stages, at all costs, is the most important thing that we do, then we can't really get to anything else from a governmental standpoint. And so that clearly is a moral issue. And so when we look at how we craft laws and look at the Constitution, I think it's very clear that it was done from a foundation of values and ideals that were greater than the individual. And those, again, going back to what I said earlier on about conservatism, those came from God. Those didn't come from anywhere else. So I think that as a potential legislator, you sit down and you pray through what the issues are. And you say, you know what, my faith is what drives how I live. My faith is what determines the way that I make decisions for myself, for my family. And so, of course, it's going to play a huge role in how we look at the laws that are on the books and creating new laws. Also working in conjunction with making sure that we give ear to the constituents of the district that we represent.
Okay. One of the greatest amounts of the state budget is allocated to public schools. Share your thoughts on schools in general and state any position you may have with regards to the future direction of schools. And schools apply to both public schools, charter schools, conversion charters, Christian schools, private schools, school in general, homeschoolers, the internet school, losing the name, can't think of it right now, but where they go online virtual learning. School, right. Virtual school. So just kind of share with folks your view and positions on schools in general.
So such a significant portion of our budget, as you said, is taken up within education. This is a very personal issue for me. Our middle child was diagnosed with special needs when he was 2.5, and we've walked a road that's very, very difficult through that. As a part of that, he also was given a diagnosis of dyslexia when he was 5. And we have seen from a public standpoint, private standpoint, homeschool perspective, that it's a very difficult road to walk. And so I'm very, very much in favor of school choice, very much in favor of people making decisions, parents making their own decisions for what is right for their children, because we all pay a significant amount in taxes, and we should be able to utilize our tax dollars the way that we see fit for our own children's education. You look at a place like Little Rock School District, whose budget, I don't know if you know what their budget is, their revenue, annual revenue predicted this year to be $638 million. That's significant. The state of Arkansas has a budget of $5.75 billion roughly. So Little Rock School District is, their budget is in 11% range of what the entire state is. So we're spending a lot of money for a lot of things, and we're not getting the outcomes that we should expect for the tax dollars, both federal, state tax dollars that are and grants that are applied to that. And so we need to open up the system for more options for everybody.
The second great amount of the budget that is spent is on the Medicaid budget. Both the federal funds, but we as a state have to pay a matching rate, of which recently a new FMAP, and the FMAP is what determines where we are in the wealth index as a state.
Right.
Fortunately, we have improved. Unfortunately, we got to pick up a bigger share of it.
Less of a portion from federal government.
Exactly. And so what are your views regarding expanding Medicaid services? And this past week, the news came down that President Trump is looking at giving grants, block grants to states, and basically say, manage your Medicaid needs. We're not going to get in your business, which a lot of us have been advocating for a long time. So I'm glad DC is listening. But as far as the amount of budget we spend on Medicaid, what are your thoughts about expanding Medicaid services, or just in general about Medicaid
So I'll start
services?
with that, the portion about what the president has done recently. And I think that's nothing but a good thing, because when we can return control to the states of the ability to manage our state systems and funds that are there, I think that's nothing but positive, because we know best what's right in our area. We don't want someone telling us what's right for Washington State or Oregon. Let's learn about what's right for Arkansans and let us have control of that. I think that's a good thing. From the standpoint of Medicaid, this is personal for me. With a child that was diagnosed with special needs, my wife and I had the chance to navigate through the TEFRA system, which is part of Arkansas Medicaid. We saw how difficult it is, and we paid a premium. It's based upon its income based in terms of premiums you pay, so it's not something that you get for free. So there's a premium associated with that, a monthly premium. But a lot of children have a need for that because they have extensive therapy, so speech, occupational, physical therapy needs. And so we've seen how difficult it is to work through that. And so the idea of what our system is very personal. I think we can be much more efficient and better at it, because I've lived that as a parent. I think that it is good overall for more people to have health care. That's a good thing. But certainly we must continue with things like the work requirement. I know that's stuck in the courts right now. However, the work requirement ideal is extremely important, because we have to have standards whereby people take access of state dollars, with both state and federal assistance within the Medicaid program. But again, I think that overall it's good that people have more access to health care, but we must absolutely insist that the efficiencies within the system are continually monitored, because I can tell you, having been someone who's walked through the system, it is very inefficient and very challenging.
All right, let me just take a breather real quick. I want to thank the sponsors of the show, Everett GMC Buick down in Saline County. Go down there and see Dwight, Susie, their staff. They'll take really good care of you. If you didn't know, recently they were named #1 again. So that just speaks to the testimony, the quality of services that they offer. Baxley Phillips, Mowdy Realtors down in Saline County. Great place to go if you're looking to buy or to sell property in Saline County or in the central Arkansas area, including commercial property. If you're looking for a place to rent, you can call and talk to Bill. He can help you out with that. Edwards Food Store here in central Arkansas. They do a great job as far as providing food at good, affordable cost and low affordable cost. And also, you can order online now and they can deliver it to you. They even still carry out your groceries for you at the same prices or better than what you get at some of the other stores that don't. And you also don't have to check yourself out in their stores,
That's
which
worth
I
it
like.
right there.
That's what I like about Edwards.
I'll screw that up every single time.
Yeah, so, just a great place to go. All right, next question. With regards to the growth of government, how do you see the balance between meeting the needs of the public and controlling the growth of government?
I think that just goes back to inefficiencies. When you look at what the state of Arkansas did last legislative session related to decreasing or increasing the efficiencies within our system, within our government, different offices and in the regulations there, I think that it is up to the state government specifically to find every way possible to make sure efficiencies are within the system and keep from growing. We don't need, again, going back to what Reagan said in 1988, huge governments and institutions can't do the things that the people can do. So government's job is, again, to secure the rights that we have that are given by God and then to get out of the way. So anything we can do to take care of our needed systems, but then decrease what government is doing, I think is good, because returning that ability and power back to the people is what we should be doing from a conservative political philosophy.
And when you look at the directions that other states are going, like Virginia, which the comments shared on this hour are actually the views of the host, okay, not the reflection of the radio station. People in Virginia have just gone stupid when it comes to Second Amendment rights, okay?
It's not a political term, stupidness.
No, but call it what it is.
You're right.
When looking at the direction of some other states like Virginia, what are your views on the Second Amendment?
So the Second Amendment was put in that place for a very specific reason. That was so the people could protect themselves from a government that overruns itself. And so, the right to own and bear arms shall not be infringed. And so in my perspective, that is a very clear right. There's a reason that it came behind the First Amendment in the order of how our founders did. And so those rights shall not be infringed. And I don't think that there's much question about that.
Okay. We're down to about 4 minutes. So what are your views about how we need to address the needs of the infrastructure in the state of Arkansas?
So I've been hearing about infrastructure needs since I was a little kid. Governor Clinton talked about the importance of roads. Governor Jim Tucker probably did for a little bit. Governor Huckabee did, BB, and now Governor Hutchinson have all very eloquently talked about how important it is that our roads are maintained and we have good infrastructure. Obviously, from the standpoint of where we're at with this next election, there's nothing much that we can do except for I have one vote, and I do support the governor's initiative related to the extension of the half-cent sales tax that's currently in place. It's not a new tax; it's just it's something that has obviously been in place for some time. I do support that, but I think that at the same time, from a legislative perspective, we have to insist that the Highway Department of Transportation is efficient in how they utilize those money and not allow them to waste.
What are your particular areas that you have interest in working on legislatively, if elected?
All those come from personal experiences with a child that has special needs and very significant learning disabilities. I would love to work within education because I think that what Arkansas is doing in terms of the science of reading and in terms of where we're moving as a state to lead the nation and how we educate our children is extremely important, and I want to continue to trumpet and be a voice for that. Public health is something that's also important to me. I've seen personal experience with the opioid epidemic, how devastating it is. Had a friend pass away just recently as a relation to that, and so I would love to be able to be a part of public health. And obviously insurance and commerce is something that's very important to me because that's the industry that I work within on a day-to-day basis.
Pro-life, last question. So what's your position as far as the value of life and pro-life or pro-choice?
Sure. As I said earlier on, the foundation of a free society is the value of life. It has to be valued at every single turn, no matter what. No matter what, it should be valued at every single turn, and I think that we cannot waver on that in any way. So there should be no disagreement amongst us, whether we're conservative or not, that we must value life, and especially value life within the womb and outside of the womb.
And what other thoughts in conclusion to today? And let me say thank you for being on. We've been listening to Keith Brooks, who is a candidate on the Republican primary ticket for District 31, previously held by Andy Davis, who will complete his term the end of this year. And so what else would you want to share with the general public, Keith, that you'd want them to know about you as a candidate for the office? Again,
it's just an honor to sit here and speak with you. It's an honor to run for the office of District 31 State Representative. I'm confident that my unique set of skills in who I am and who I have always been, from the standpoint of knowing the essence of integrity and valuing character, and my experience as a small business owner and being an entrepreneur since I was a little kid, I think those are things that serve our people well. And sorry. No, sorry. Voices in my ear. Voices in my ears. My bad. Sorry about that. I think that I have a unique set of skills and experiences that serve our people well, and I love the chance to get to know folks in District 31 every single day. Very good. You've been listening to the Kim Hammer Show today. My guest the second half of the hour is Keith Brooks, candidate for District 31, House of Representatives seat. His opponent on the Republican ticket as well was R.J. Hawk on the first half of the hour. If you didn't get to hear it all in its entirety, you can go back and catch it on Facebook Live.
They are, they are archived up there. I want to say thanks for taking time out
Yes,
on
sir.
Saturday away from your family to be here. Wish you the best of luck as well as
Appreciate
RJ. And I appreciate the race that y'all are running. I do want to know that. They're keeping it clean. They're keeping it focused on the issue. And I appreciate that very much. Our sponsors today, again, Everett GMC Buick down in Saline County. Also, Baxley Phillips Mouty down in Saline County for a great realtor down that area. And then Edwards Food Giant. I've got to cut out and go quick. I've got to go do a funeral on the Duval's Bluff today. Thanks for listening to Kim Hammer Show. Next week, we're going to have on State Senator Alan Clark. And also, we will have on Jeff Crow. They are running for the
101.1 FM. The Answer. KDXE FM. Kamak Village, Little Rock. A Salem Media Group station. 101.1 FM. The Answer.